You've been practicing one skill your entire career. You're good at it, maybe even great, but the market shifts, technology changes. Your one skill isn't enough anymore. Now you're scrambling to learn something completely new, starting from zero. In 17th century Japan, every swordsman trained with one sword, right hand, one weapon, one technique. Then Miyamoto Musashi walked into a duel carrying two swords. His opponents laughed. They called it madness. How could anyone possibly be effective with two blades at once? But Musashi wasn't trying to be twice as good with swords. He was teaching a principle that goes far beyond combat, the principle of skill multiplication through deliberate ambidexterity. And in the next 10 minutes, you're going to learn exactly how this ancient technique applies to mastering multiple skills in modern life, whether you're building a business, advancing a career, or developing yourself into someone irreplaceable. Welcome to Japanese Secrets, where ancient samurai wisdom meets modern life. Before we begin, comment below which city you're watching from and what you think about this video. Now, what Musashi discovered wasn't just about fighting with two swords. It was about breaking the myth that you can only master one thing at a time. Musashi called his style Niten Ichi-ryu, which translates to heavens as one school. The name itself reveals his philosophy, to separate things becoming one unified system. Most swordsmen believed that mastering the katana required complete dedication to that single weapon. Adding a second sword would dilute your focus, weaken your primary skill, create confusion in battle. Musashi proved them wrong. He demonstrated that training with two swords simultaneously didn't divide his ability in half, it multiplied his effectiveness exponentially. Why? Because learning to coordinate to different tools forced his mind to operate at a higher level. His left hand learned what his right hand knew. His brain developed new neural pathways for coordination, timing, and spatial awareness. He couldn't rely on muscle memory from one dominant side. He had to think differently, move differently, see differently. The result wasn't a swordsman who was half as good with each hand. It was a warrior who thought in dimensions his opponents couldn't comprehend. When facing Musashi, enemies prepared for traditional single sword techniques. Instead, they encountered attacks from unexpected angles, defenses that seemed impossible, combinations that violated every convention they trained against. Musashi wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "You should not have any special fondness for a particular weapon or anything else for that matter. Too much is the same as not enough." He was teaching that over-specialization creates weakness. When you master only one tool, one approach, one method, you become vulnerable the moment circumstances change. But here's what most people miss about Musashi's two-sword technique. He didn't start by fighting with both swords simultaneously. That would have been chaos. He started by training each hand separately until both were competent. Then he combined them. This is the crucial insight for modern application. You don't multiply skills by doing everything at once. You multiply skills by developing competence in complementary areas, then integrating them into something greater than the sum of parts. Musashi also insisted his students practice with both hands equally. He refused to let them favor their dominant side. This created a strange phenomenon students who were right-handed found, that training their left hand actually improved their right hand technique. The brain doesn't compartmentalize learning the way we think it does. When you force yourself to learn something with your weak hand, your weak side, your uncomfortable approach, you create cognitive flexibility that enhances everything else. Modern neuroscience confirms what Musashi knew intuitively. Learning new skills, especially skills that require coordination between different systems, literally rewires the brain. It builds what neuroscientists call cognitive reserve, the brain's ability to improvise and find alternate solutions when faced with challenges. So how do you apply Musashi's two-sword principle today? First, identify your primary skill and your complementary skill. Your primary skill is what you're known for, what pays your bills, what you've invested years developing. Your complementary skill is something adjacent that multiplies the effectiveness of your primary skill. For a programmer, the primary skill might be coding. The complementary skill might be design thinking or business strategy. For a salesperson, Primary skill is closing deals. Complementary skill might be data analysis or psychology. The key is choosing skills that intersect, not skills that are completely unrelated. Musashi didn't train with a sword and a flute. He trained with two tools that served the same purpose but required different approaches. Second, practice your complementary skill deliberately, even when it feels awkward. Musashi's students hated training their weak hand. It was frustrating, clumsy, inefficient. But that discomfort is where growth happens. Your brain is forming new connections precisely because the task is difficult. Schedule specific time for your complementary skill, not leftover time, not I'll get to it eventually. Dedicated practice time where you embrace the awkwardness of being a beginner again. Third, look for integration points. Where do your two skills intersect? Where can you use both simultaneously to create something neither skill could achieve alone? Musashi's power didn't come from using two swords separately. It came from combinations and attacks that required both working together. Maybe you're a writer learning video production. The integration point isn't just writing scripts for videos. It's understanding how visual storytelling changes narrative structure, which makes you a better writer even in pure text. Fourth, resist the pressure to specialize in only one thing. Modern career advice often pushes hyper-specialization. Musashi teaches the opposite. The warrior who can only do one thing is easily defeated. The warrior who has mastered complementary skills becomes unpredictable, adaptable, irreplaceable. Fifth, teach others your primary skill while learning your complementary skill. Musashi never stopped teaching even as he continued learning. Teaching forces you to articulate principles clearly, which deepens your understanding. It also keeps you humble. While you're the expert in one domain, you're the student in another. Miyamoto Musashi died having founded a school that survived centuries, having written texts that are still studied today, having created art that's preserved in museums. His legacy isn't just about sword technique. It's about the principle of multiplicative mastery. One skill makes you good. Two complementary skills make you exceptional. The integration of multiple competencies makes you irreplaceable. In a world that's changing faster than ever, your ability to multiply skills isn't optional. It's survival. Comment below what's your primary skill and what complementary skill you're developing. And if you want more authentic samurai wisdom applied to modern mastery, subscribe to Japanese Secrets. The ancient warriors understood skill multiplication long before anyone called it that.